Imagine for a moment that your inner world is a garden. The seeds you plant, your beliefs, intentions, habits, determine the harvest you'll one day enjoy. Today, I invite you to plant seeds worthy of empires. To build your business empire, you begin not with a business plan, but with a mindset. Believe that success is already dancing toward you. See opportunity in every challenge. When you change the way you view your path, the path itself transforms. Mindset is the invisible architecture of empire building, courage, clarity, and conviction. When doubt creeps in, observe it kindly. Thank it for sharing, then redirect your attention to what you choose to create. The shift is the power behind lasting achievement. Strategy is next, your action blueprint. Without intention, strategy flounders. Begin by clarifying your highest purpose. Then align every step from outreach to partnerships, product to branding, to serve that purpose. Let patience guide you. Great empires don't appear overnight. They evolve through consistent focus, feedback, and refinement. But mindset and strategy alone aren't enough. You must add grit, the steady pulse of perseverance. When setbacks arise, and they will, choose to stay committed. Say yes to growth even when comfort whispers no. Your tenacity becomes a strength that outlasts any obstacle. Through this journey, remember the power of unseen forces, your attitude, your energy, the intention behind every decision. These are as tangible as dollars or data. They move markets, attract mentors, open doors. In this empire, generosity is royalty. Share knowledge, offer value before asking for value. Build a community, not a customer list. Give more than you get. This is the language of abundance. Finally, visualize your future self, grateful, grounded, generous. Treat that self as your companion. Now act from that version of you today. This alignment between who you are and who you're becoming, this is unstoppable. So I invite you, change the way you build. Plant seeds of belief. Craft strategy with intention. Show up with humility and persistence. Offer generously. And above all, hold firm in the face of challenge with unwavering grit. Your business empire is not just a venture. It is an expression of who you choose to be. Not as a static vessel, but as a living, malleable force, capable of expansion through effort, curiosity, and grit. That's the essence of a growth mindset, the belief that abilities, not just talents, but intelligence, resilience, creativity, can be nurtured and improved over time. In this mindset, challenges aren't threats, they're invitations to grow. Setbacks aren't verdicts, they're data. Feedback isn't criticism, it's direction. You don't see yourself as fixed, you see yourself in progress. People with a fixed mindset believe intelligence is static. They avoid difficulties, give up easily, and interpret feedback as judgment. But those with a growth mindset believe measurable change is possible. And so they embrace challenge, persist, and learn from every experience. When you build a business, uncertainty and obstacles are inevitable. Yet your response is different when you hold the belief that learning can change your circumstances. Entrepreneurs with a growth mindset expect setbacks and use them. They iterate, pivot, adapt, and improve. Here's how that mindset transforms how you operate. You notice opportunities where others see roadblocks. You take on tough tasks, not to prove yourself, but to stretch yourself. If you stumble, you ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Instead of what went wrong, you practice deliberate, steady progress, knowing that consistency builds mastery. Feedback becomes your ally, not your enemy. You actively seek input from mentors, colleagues, customers, and lean into it. When criticism arrives, you don't close off. You reflect, adjust, and use it to sharpen your work and your thinking. Rather than waiting for perfect launch conditions, you begin early and iterate continuously, testing, learning, improving. This cycle, take action, learn, refine, is the rhythm that builds resilient ventures and enduring impact. Curiosity becomes your compass. You read, ask questions, seek ideas outside your field. You stay alert to change and open to perspectives that push you beyond what you know. That curiosity keeps you innovative, and ahead of stagnation, your inner dialogue evolves. Instead of saying, I can't, you say, not yet. That simple word shifts your brain from limitation to learning. It acknowledges possibility and plants seeds of persistence. You begin celebrating effort, praising yourself and others for process, dedication, grit, not just results. You recognize persistence, thoughtful strategy, creative problem solving. That reinforces behavior. It deepens commitment. Each time you choose to lean into discomfort, to push through, you cultivate resilience. Fear diminishes. Doubt becomes a signal that learning lies ahead. And every challenge met becomes proof that growth is real and cumulative. Your identity shifts. You are not defined by past limitations. You are defined by your capacity to evolve. I'm learning becomes your mantra. I'm growing becomes your identity. And the boundaries of what's possible stretch. Growth mindset also influences how you lead. When you hire, collaborate, or mentor, you promote curiosity, openness, and experimentation. You normalize mistakes. You build environments where teams learn together. That kind of culture drives innovation and long-term progress. Shifting to growth mindset is a deliberate practice, not a one-time change. Start with your language. Use not yet, not I can't. Frame errors as lessons rather than failures. Set goals not only for outcomes, but for learning, skills to develop, habits to refine, knowledge to absorb. Surround yourself with people who challenge and inspire you, who also believe in potential and progress. This mindset matters tremendously. In organizations, growth cultures outperform genius cultures. They lead with learning rather than labels, value struggle as strategy, and see failure not as shame but as stepping stones to new levels of performance. Across individuals, studies show that mindset interventions, teaching one to believe in change, lead to greater resilience and proactive behavior. For entrepreneurs, this means more tests run, more feedback gathered, and more ventures launched with confidence and creative adaptation at its core. Growth mindset is belief in transformation. You don't wait for innate genius or perfect timing. You start now, fueled by curiosity, strengthened by feedback, and guided by persistence. So choose the language that expands. Choose the effort that refines. Choose the feedback that deepens. Choose the challenge that teaches. Choose the journey that transforms. Your mind is not a finished work. It's a well in progress, deepening, broadening, evolving. And each choice, each stretch, each lesson, each iteration makes you more than you were. Let growth mindset be lens through which you see your business, your life, and your potential. Then watch how your canvas expands, brushstroke by brushstroke, into a masterpiece you never thought possible. Imagine a river that never stops flowing, carving its path through stone and earth, not in a hurry, but with quiet, persistent purpose. That enduring flow captures the essence of grit, the combination of deep, unwavering passion and the determination to persevere over months, years, even decades. To cultivate grit is to cultivate a mindset rooted in steadfast commitment. It begins with discovering something meaningful, not a fleeting spark, but a work that draws you back day after day. That passion might take time to emerge. Research shows real interest often develops slowly when we engage in challenging tasks that matter, tasks that both stretch and satisfy us. That process of steady engagement is where grit takes root. Once passion is present, effort becomes fuel. Tenacity isn't just about working hard. It's working hard on something you truly care about. Effort multiplies, it builds skill, and then skill plus more effort builds achievement. That means outcomes are never accidental. They are generated through repetition, adjustment, and unrelenting dedication. Grit is often misunderstood as sheer stubbornness or brute force, but true grit blends emotional commitment with rational persistence. It's not about grinding at anything that moves, but persevering with something that grows your skill and aligns with your purpose. That alignment motivates you on the days when progress stalls and doubt creeps in. Developing grit is not an overnight transformation. It's shaped over time through 4 interlocking elements: interest, practice, purpose, and hope. First, genuine interest keeps you drawn to your pursuit long term. Then deliberate practice, focused, feedback-driven repetition hones your abilities even when it's uncomfortable. Next, connect your effort to a larger sense of meaning. Understand why it matters to others, not just yourself. Finally, sustain hope and the belief that persistence won't break you and that goals are attainable even when they seem distant. Think about those who reach the pinnacle in their fields. Top athletes, entrepreneurs, scholars. They didn't necessarily start smarter than the rest. What distinguishes them is grit. They stay loyal to goals that span years. They rise when they fall. They remain committed to refining their craft, even when immediate rewards are scarce. To cultivate grit in your own life, begin by identifying what genuinely interests you. It may not leap to you in a flash. Often it emerges through trial, exposure, small successes, and growing fascination. It starts as a spark, then becomes a quiet flame that draws you in again and again. Next, practice with purpose. Don't just repeat what you can already do. Challenge yourself at the edge of your ability. Seek feedback, push beyond comfort. That focused effort, sustained over time, is the engine that transforms skill into expertise. Anchor your pursuit and purpose. Ask, why does this matter? Not just to me, but outside of me. When your work connects to something larger, whether value delivered to others, a mission, or a personal legacy, your commitment deepens. The work becomes less transactional and more generative. And maintain hope. Understand that setbacks are not signs of defeat, but signals of growth. When you stumble, what will I learn? How can I adjust? That mindset anchors grit and keeps you moving even when external motivation fades. Grit isn't simply innate. It can grow. People often become grittier over time, especially when they commit to long-term efforts in disciplines or vocations. Environments that reward perseverance, provide feedback, and hold space for growth reinforce grit. Communities, colleagues, coaches, and mentors play a role too, because grit flourishes when others believe in your long game. But grit must be balanced. Tirelessly working without joy or meaning is not grit. It's grind. Grit blended with passion, aligned with purpose, becomes sustainable. Without passion, effort becomes drudgery. Without perseverance, passion fades. True grit is the cycle of passion fueling effort, effort igniting more passion. When entrepreneurs cultivate grit, they are more likely to endure market setbacks, pivot strategically, and sustain effort across the long haul. Studies show that grit predicts not only the decision to start ventures, but the persistence to see them through when the terrain is tough. That perseverance boosts performance, builds resilience, and improves the capacity to innovate. Yet grit is not the only predictor of success. Talent, intelligence, opportunity, and support all matter. But grit holds its own, especially where long-term consistency is required. Its power lies not in brilliance, but in staying the course with passion, with patience, with bold persistence. What does cultivating grit like in daily life? It's choosing to write one more page when confidence wavers. It's returning to your craft after rejection. It's refining your offering after criticism. It's maintaining momentum even when others give up. It's staying loyal to a vision even when the path bends without clarity. Over time, that loyalty strengthens identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who finishes, someone who persists, someone who builds. That identity becomes your anchor through discouragement, your compass through uncertainty. So commit to your long game. Nurture a pursuit you care deeply about. Practice deliberately. Connect your work to purpose. Lean into discomfort. Learn from feedback and stay hopeful even when progress is slow. Allow grit to shape your journey. Let it transform passion into impact, effort into excellent purpose, into lasting results. Over the years, the accumulation of small, persistent action becomes something extraordinary. Your path forward is less about luck or talent and more about whether you choose to stay the course. And that choice, made again and again, is the essence of grit. Over time, passion endures, perseverance perseveres. And what emerges is not just success, but mastery, resilience, and a life built with intentional commitment. Cultivate grit. Let it become your rhythm, and watch what you can build with unwavering passion and persistence. Imagine standing at the foot of a mountain so vast it seems impossible to climb. It's tempting to freeze, overwhelmed by the distance. Yet the truth is, every mountain is climbed one step at a time. That is the power of setting clear, long-term goals broken down into small wins, tiny steps that feel achievable, that build momentum and shape your journey. When you define a purpose, it becomes your compass. A well-crafted long-term goal, a vision for where you want to be in 1, 2, or even 5 years sparks clarity. You can sense what matters, recognize what to reject, and make decisions rooted in intention rather than impulse. In business, leaders who set such purpose-driven targets consistently outpace others who drift aimlessly from task to task. It's not enough to want more. You must envision precisely what more looks like. Yet, long-term goals, as inspiring as they are, also carry the risk of dimming motivation because results feel distant. That's where small wins come in. Completing a manageable task triggers a positive feedback loop in the brain, releasing dopamine, the neurotransmitter that signals reward and encourages the next step. Even a simple action like checking off a to-do or drafting an email can fuel your drive to continue. That's the momentum created by micro successes. Consider the workplace study where employees set modest daily goals, like completing a slide deck or solving one customer ticket, and celebrated those wins. They ended up significantly more productive, happier, and far more likely to achieve broader performance targets. It's evidence that progress, however small, reinforces engagement and sustained effort. Turning big aspirations into small requires intentional planning. It often begins with applying the SMART framework, making goals specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Instead of stating grow revenue, define increase revenue by 20% over 12 months. That clarity lights up the path ahead. From that long-term goal, you carve out milestones, 6-month checkpoints, quarterly objectives, monthly markers. Then those milestones become bite-sized tasks that you can finish in a day or a few hours. Write 3 outreach emails today. Publish 1 blog post this week. Track customer feedback by Friday. Each micro task becomes a small one you can feel and celebrate. These are not random busy work. They are purposeful steps aligned with your vision. As you accumulate these small wins, something subtle and powerful occurs. Habit forms. Over time, your brain begins to see progress as the norm. You begin to expect the feeling of accomplishment. That anticipation becomes a self-reinforcing cycle of consistency and growth. Researchers call this the Kaizen effect. Continuous, incremental improvement leading to exponential change, yet planning isn't enough. You must also record your progress. Writing down your goals increases the likelihood of achieving them by as much as 42%. Studies show looking at written goals regularly activates selective attention in your brain, your reticular activating system, rewarding you with focus and elevated awareness about what matters. And tracking progress, whether with a habit journal, a task app, or a got done list, turns invisible progress into tangible evidence, reinforcing your belief that you're moving forward. I remember a founder who aimed to double her customer base in a year. Instead of fixating on that distant milestone, she broke it into weekly tasks, 5 conversations, 3 blog posts, 2 product experiments. She celebrated each small increment. The wins seemed modest at the time, but they added up quarter by quarter until the big goal was within reach. Obstacles are inevitable. Market shifts, small failures, moments of doubt. Instead of letting setbacks derail you, imagine pre-planning ways to respond. Use the psychology of Then, planning. If I miss my target this week, then I'll reach out to 3 more prospects next week. Or if I feel this task is overwhelming, then I'll break it into 20-minute chunks. These implementation intentions automate responses to challenges so that progress continues without paralysis. A rhythm starts to emerge. Long-term goals set the North Star, short-term ones build confidence, and daily actions become habits. And your vision remains alive, tethered to measurable steps rather than vague dreams. At regular intervals, weekly, monthly, quarterly, take time to reflect. Review what's working, identify what's not. Pivot if necessary. Flexibility matters. As your plan unfolds, your environment or circumstances may shift, and so should your methods, while your overarching goal remains anchored in your vision. And celebrate, not only in your head, but out loud. Share your milestones with your team, your mentor, your community. Even small actions, when acknowledged, boost morale and build culture. Teams that regularly celebrate progress are far more engaged and productive. When casting your vision, give it structure, translate insights into measurable goals with clear timing, then cascade those goals across teams through aligned indicators. That creates clarity, accountability, and coherence, all rooted in learning-driven strategy. As you turn strategy into routine adaptation, you build strategic resilience when unexpected shifts occur, market disruptions, new competitors, regulatory changes. You're not scrambling, you're recalibrating. You're fine-tuning direction without sacrificing vision. In this mindset, strategy isn't vanity, it's purpose with feedback. It's vision anchored in reality and behavior shaped by insight. Every action, every reflection becomes data in service of improvement. Over time, this approach transforms the way you operate. You stop treating strategy as once-a-year planning and start treating it as continuous evolution. You stay attuned to shifts and nimble enough to adjust because you've designed your process around learning rather than hoping your assumptions hold. When teammates see this attitude in leaders, they feel empowered to propose ideas, learn quickly, and experiment. They stop fearing change and instead welcome it as a sign of adaptability. That culture, grounded in learning, becomes a competitive edge. Yes, performance matters, but adaptation determines how long it lasts. Intent without awareness fails. Planning without flexibility flattens. Real success comes from marrying vision with responsiveness, direction with adaptation. So commit to strategic thinking as a practice of ongoing learning. Reflect deeply, gather diverse input, question assumptions, experiment and adapt, align goals to evolving realities. Let your planning be alive, not archived. In doing so, you don't just build strategy, you cultivate adaptability. You don't just pursue success, you build resilience. And you don't just aim for outcomes, you grow into leaders, teams, and organizations that evolve in sync with the world around them. Your strategy becomes less a static map and more a living compass, sensitive to shifts, responsive to feedback, and always turning toward your long-term vision. That is strategic thinking as true adaptation, and that is how lasting impact and growth are created. And now, let your vision settle in your mind as more than a dream. Let it become your daily anchor. As you've heard, strategic thinking isn't static, it learns, adapts, and aligns with your purpose. Grit isn't stubbornness, it's passion propelled through challenge. Goals aren't distant peaks, they're conquered one small step at a time. And mindset isn't just belief, it's the lens through which every possibility becomes real. Pause for a moment and imagine your future self. That person is not a distant stranger, they are unfolding now, shaped by what you choose today. When you commit to learning, even from failure, your strategy grows stronger. When you set incremental goals and celebrate each micro win, your confidence quietly but powerfully. When you persevere with patience and real alignment, you don't just achieve results, you forge character. Now imagine these practices becoming second nature. Reflection becomes routine, feedback becomes fuel. Plans bend with reality, not break. You and your team speak the same language of curiosity, adaptation, and shared ambition. Your business becomes not only successful, but resilient, capable of thriving when change comes. If uncertainty knocks at your door, here's your answering: flexibility guided by intention, not panic. When doubt flutters, respond with questions, not excuses. When setbacks whisper that you've failed, counter with evidence the mistake studied, the pivot made, the next small win earned. That is the heartbeat of growth. You are writing a story of transformation, of a mind that learns, a plan that adapts, a spirit that persists, a vision that unfolds. There is no overnight victory here, but there is steady movement. There is no guaranteed path, but there is clarity of direction. There is no fixed finish line, but there is a commitment to becoming more than you were. Today you are invited to plant the seed of strategic clarity. Nurture it with learning, shape it with feedback, break your dreams into actionable steps, celebrate those steps, stand firm with grit, adapt when context changes, reflect when it matters. Build not only your ambitions, but your capacity to evolve. Your empire, on whichever scale you envision it, is not merely built, it is cultivated, it is lived, it grows as you grow. And long after this moment, it will stand as proof of who you chose to be and how you chose to become. So go forward, learn continuously, adapt intelligently, act with intention. Persist with passion. Let this journey transform your work and your life. Because your mind is a canvas, your strategy is a living compass, your habits are footholds on the climb, and your outcome is limited only by belief in your own becoming. This is your path. Purpose-driven. Your legacy begins now.